of the lectures that are going to be sponsored by the department project called the department forum. This afternoon may be very fitting to the kind of summer that we're having, not really hot, not really cool because of the rains. We will be told of the kinds of poems that characterize ancient Chinese poetry. When we say ancient, this dates back to, in Western terms, I think, but he will correct me later on, before Christ. Many of the poets in ancient Chinese poetry may be familiar to a handful of us. I would imagine we would be familiar, being ancients. We would be familiar with the names of Lipo, Tao Jian, Wang Wei. Okay, if not, maybe this lecture will encourage you to look up these poets, especially since they come from our area of the world and they have been writing great poetry for over 1,000 years. Okay, when we hear the name Nanjing in China, we would associate it with an important city in central eastern China. And if we keep in mind that China is a beautiful, beautiful country with beautiful mountains, rivers, pristine mountains, I think it will be easy to imagine why these poets wrote the poems that you will be hearing about. So Nanjing is not only a cultural capital of China, it had been the ancient capital of about 6 dynasties. Of 6 dynasties? Oh, okay. All right. And in the 20th century, we know it. Unfortunately, we associate it with the Nanjing massacre. Yes, where about 100,000. 300,000 Chinese, including women and children, were massacred by the Japanese. That's a lot. But we go back to the real topic of this afternoon, and we welcome Mr. Wang Haibo, who comes from Nanjing Normal University, specifically Yinling Women's College, which is known for producing some of the best teachers in China. So I hope the afternoon becomes very productive in terms of finding out poetry that comes from ancient times, from this part of the world. Young ladies and gentlemen, and young ladies, coaches with Loyola schools, please welcome Mr. Wang Haibo.
Just now, when I was outside, I found an advertisement of Chinese bridge for people to take part in the Chinese competition. And there I found an alternative choice, that is Chinese poetry. You can either perform, you can either dance, or you can represent your Chinese poetry. Chinese poetry has a long history, just as Dr. Ornstein mentioned. Before Jesus was born, that is over 25,000 years ago, we had poetry. But today I'm not going to deal with the ancient poetry, that ancient. I'm going to talk about some of the poems ranged from 600 to 900, that is during the Tang Dynasty, T-A-N-G. The Tang Dynasty is regarded as the supreme, the summit of Chinese poetry. And I'm going to talk about Chinese poetic images and their implications. This is the topic, and I believe you already got some of the handouts. And for Chinese people, we have lots of our environment, which are very unique. Then we also have some kind of people, which may be very different. For example, we have orchid. In the past, people think that orchid refers to something sublime, something lofty. Therefore, if you are looked as orchid or something, that is, people respect you. And later, orchid is used to decorate people's houses or rooms. So we call them orchid rooms, that is, fragrant rooms or scented rooms, very nice rooms of nobility. Then people call it orchid rooms. And here we have, I do this according to the poems, so it's not arranged according to a certain category. Hermit. In the past, some of the farmers worked very hard in order to become officials. And when they became officials, or when they became very low officials, they found it was not so satisfactory. Therefore, they went to high mountains or deep villages to hide themselves in order to not to be found, in order not to work as officials. And here I mentioned later some people, in order to be found by the emperors, they try to hide themselves in mountains. Then the emperors may send his official to the mountain to find those able people. So this is a shortcut to officialdom. And here is a poem written by Zhang Jiulin. Lamentations on intolerance. Intolerance, that is what you meet with, that is actually something like fate. Prosperous orchid leaves spring seeds, purely white osmanthus flowers, fall finds. The purpose of such flourishing grass and trees is not to make the two seasons, but is to make the two seasons glorious kinds, whereby